Hi runners, welcome back to Runtime. I'm Coach Joe English. Today we're starting a 4-part series with John Bingham. John was a Runner's World and competitor group columnist who became known as the Penguin. He was the voice of the back of the pack, the second running boom. And he's probably the most famous runner that never won a running race. John's a great guy. He's warm, he's funny, and he spent a lot of time with me talking at the Chicago Marathon last fall. Today, you're going to see part 1 of this series where we explore how he became the Penguin and how it all got started. Enjoy. Well, welcome. We're here in Chicago with John Bingham. This is like big stuff. We're in your hometown.
This is my hometown, and I love Chicago. I love the city. I've always loved the Chicago Marathon. It's a great event.
We're like 20 feet from the Bean right now. It's behind us. You can't see us. The Bean is behind us.
Now, come on, as a Chicagoan, we don't call it the Bean. It's Cloudscape.
Cloudscape?
Something like that.
I did not know that.
It's got the word cloud in it. It's not a bean.
That's fantastic to know, though.
Well,
That's good stuff. So, Cloudscape is behind us, and right now there's tons of runners over there, and they're getting ready for the marathon tomorrow. But it's really neat to have you here. It's kind of an interesting time in your life and your career. Give us the sort of the rundown for people that maybe haven't read your stuff for a while, kind of how it started and what the career in running was.
Well, the career really started in 1996, in May of '96, with the first column in Runner's World. And how that came to be is really a mystery to me and everybody else, because I was doing some stuff out on the internet, which wasn't like it is now. It was basically government types and academics. And a woman who wrote for the LA Times, who had done some work for Runner's World, saw one of these emails, sent it off to Amby Burfoot, then editor, and said, look, there's something in this kid's voice that resonates with me and I think will resonate with others. So that led to the column, that led to some other kind of things, and then that led to my being here in Chicago for the first time in 1997 with the Runner's World pace teams, and then I've been here every year since.
What do you think it was about your voice that resonated?
If I had a good answer for that, I probably could have retired a long time ago. I think I spoke for a group of people who were coming into the sport who up until then had no voice. And I've said this before, but my whole goal was to be an honest voice for them, to have some integrity about my own experience in a way that when they read it, they thought, oh, that's like me. And so the columns actually started off as emails, which were just letters to my friends. And there's kind of a funny story that one of the editors at Runner's World called me in to the office and said, look, I think we can make these better. And I said, I don't want them to be better. I want the person to open the magazine like they had gotten a letter from me and have it be very conversational. And so there was something in that tone, I think, that stuck with people. It was honest, it was genuine, it was authentic, and I think that's why it made it work.
Well, you and I came from really different backgrounds. I actually started running when I was 5, competitively. Right? So when I did my first marathon, it was 1988, and I always tell the story about lining up at the start line, and it was a bunch of skinny men, in shorts, no shirts. Yeah, exactly. The slotted shorts, no shirt, and that was kind of it. And it was a very small thing. There was very little to it. Things have changed a lot, but at that moment when you started writing, it was a new generation of runners that was coming along.
It really was a new generation, and to be honest with you, I think the first year when I got hired at Runner's World, I got hired to write 8 columns in 1996. And I think this was a concession they were going to make to what they thought was maybe this kind of second running boom. I don't think anybody intended it to go beyond 1996. I think that was it. They were going to say, hey, we tried, nobody wanted it. Otherwise, why do you hire a former fat guy, smoker, drinker, slow runner, to write a column in Runner's World? I mean, there was nothing about it that made any kind of sense as literature, as a sport. But it caught on, and that's, I think, that surprised them. It certainly surprised me that they began to get letters back saying, hey, this guy, we like this guy. This guy's speaking for us. And so I don't think there was a plan in their minds or my minds that this was going to turn into anything other than this very short, hey, if we tried it, it didn't work. Now we're going back to talking about skinny, fast guys.
I'm sure there were people at Runner's World that said, but he's not even a runner.
Oh,
right? I mean, like they didn't, and you still hear this sometimes. And both of us, we worked a lot with charity runners, right? And people have at times said that, oh, they're not real runners, they're charity runners, which is, I think, is offensive. But but you can know what they were coming from. It's like a kind of it's almost like a a stereotyping that's going on. They're saying, oh, well, you're not serious.
One of my favorite stories here at Chicago, 97 had the pace team. So we've got all the hotshot Runners World runners up there. And, you know, Bart Yasso's here, Jeff Galloway's here, Amby Burfoot's here. I mean, they're all here. Yeah. And we're on stage doing our clinic about how to run your best marathon. Well, they're talking about sub 3 hours, sub 3:30, whatever it is. And then they get to me, and I was going to try to run, just trying to finish on Sunday. So I asked, I was the last person to speak. I asked everybody in the room, the entire audience, to stand up, and they all did. And I said, now turn around and face the back wall, and they did. And I said to all my then Runners World colleagues, this is what a marathon looks like to me. Yeah. And it just sort of set it up. It was perfect because they didn't have any understanding of that. They're always used to being up in front and challenging somebody else. They don't know what it was, didn't know what it was like, and still probably don't, to be in that back and just be in that mass of people that are out there having a great time.
My experience in coaching, you know, people over the last 10 years, I would relate to that I have never had one of my participants ask what the winning time is in a marathon. Sometimes I'll try to tell them. I'll say, oh, so-and-so, they ran a 2:05 today. And people are like, oh. You know, like there's like no registration there. And that's not to say that we don't coach performance runners and things, but in terms of the mass, that has been sort of where things have been at.
It was here in Chicago in 1999 where that Khalid Kanuchi set the new world's record.
Right.
And we were there here again with Runner's World, and I was back there with my people. And he, in fact, did set a world record that day, and I think it was 2:05:47, something ridiculous like that for the whole marathon. They were holding up signs at mile 11 saying Khalid Kanuchi set the new world record. But we were at mile 11, and I thought, what a shame for him. You know, he's finished, and we still have 15 more miles of fun in front of us. So, yeah, it's a different. I appreciate what's going on at the front end of the sport. I mean, look what's happening now with times coming down. Dina Castor, a week ago in Philadelphia or so, set the Masters women's half marathon record. So the sport is very healthy right now. And I think in part it's because the people in the back of the pack have really brought the sport up to a level where people can make an honest living doing it.
Yeah, it's true. So what's next for you? What are your plans?
I didn't have any plans when this part of my life started. I mean, I was a university academic and thought that that was what I was going to do for the rest of my life. I've now spent the last almost 20 years in the running industry. I'm open. I really I don't want a plan. When I first started with this Penguin thing, people used to come up and say, you got to have a plan. What's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? And I said, I don't know. And no plan I ever could have had for the last 20 years of my life would have been as good as what's happened. So I'm open. I'm just going to let it happen. Kind of be, I don't mean to sound zen-like about it, but I'm just going to let it unfold the way it does.
That's cool. Well, that's great.
So far, so good.
Yeah, so far, so good. You come back and talk with us some more?
Be happy to do.
All right. Well, we're going to continue this conversation with John and talk more about the future and other stuff that's going on in running. So thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you soon. Well, that's it for today, runners. Come back and see us again. We're going to have 3 more segments with John on upcoming episodes and lots more on Runtime. I'm Coach Joe English. Thanks for joining us.